Hey everybody, Aric for President here. We are gamers, and you know what that means? We are opinionated, and don't you dare say we are not, because if I right now tweeted that Xbox is better than PlayStation, it'd lead to some crap. But in all that opinions, there is some truth and some things that are worth mentioning. So I asked you on Twitter and YouTube to provide your VR related hot takes and unpopular opinions, and I'm gonna give my trash takes on them. So yes, it's a video of my opinions on your opinions. It's just meant to make some arguments in the chat. So let's get started. More people will watch the Super Bowl in VR than in any other way within 15 years. Watching live events will be the killer app for VR. I don't know if that's a hot take actually, and I don't know, maybe that's true. I will say that the live viewing experience for sports, specifically football and a couple others that are just so expensive, the TV viewing experience is hands down better. There's more stuff to see, more stats, more angles. It's a better experience. And VR is that ultimate experience, the ultimate court-side experience that, yeah, if 15 years, I would watch all my sports in VR. Next VR did basketball, great, I love that, but I would watch my sports easily in VR. You can't game in VR as much as you would traditionally game. Well, Mateo, if you would hit the gym a little bit more, because you know I have to bully you in this video, maybe you'd be able to do that. Okay, in all seriousness, VR gaming is labor intensive. I can't tell you how many times I have to stretch my knees while standing up playing Population 1 for hours and hours at a time. It is hands down more physical than traditional gaming, and because of that, play sessions generally will always be less in VR than in traditional gaming. And I know some of you mad lads out there right now have no problem playing VR for 24 hours at a time. I know some of you who every time I log on, you're always on. You just never log off. That's not the standard. In reality, I think 3 to 4 hours is really that sweet spot where the majority of gamers are gonna be. That's a solid long play session that's gonna leave you a little tired at the end. So yeah, Mateo, I'd agree with that. Hot take, PC VR market spends more on HMDs and GPUs than they ever spend on content. This is what kills their growth. Again, not sure if that's exactly a hot take. I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, we have so many new headsets every year, yet the content is still the same content than when I started. Vive may be coming out with the HTC Vive Focus Plus Elite Standard Xbox Edition. They just keep making up headsets and new names, but I'm still playing Beat Saber and Super Hot on them, you know what I mean? So in a way, there is way more money spent on headsets than there are content, and I agree that is a big problem right now. Facebook is detrimental to VR as a whole, as they only care about gathering more data. Whew. Guess we're hitting the Facebook conversation, huh? I'm gonna be honest, I disagree. Now, Facebook is absolutely not innocent on how they have treated VR, at least the data portion of it. It is likely that they are going to use this for data collection in one way or another. Who knows? Facebook's not innocent, and their critiques against them are valid. However, to say Facebook is detrimental to VR as a whole, where would VR be without Facebook currently? Because I'm honestly curious. Price is the number one factor where people factor into getting into VR or not. And Facebook has made the most economically amazing headsets out there that give you an amazing VR experience at an affordable cost. We can hate Facebook all we want. We can talk shit about them anytime. I'm down for some shit talking to Facebook. I do it enough where probably a good reason I didn't get an Oculus Quest. Well, there's other reasons. We'll get into that a different video. But where was I going? Oh yeah. Facebook. Hate them all you want, but where's the hate to everyone else who's not giving them competition? Sony, HTC, Valve, Microsoft, Apple, I mean, I'll put them in there, although all of them have the ability to be competitors, to make a product at a price that they can subsidize and make it work, but they're not. And that's not saying that they're wrong for not doing that. They have their reasons. A lot of times they need to make a profit. But to say Facebook is detrimental to VR on the whole, when every other VR adjacent company could be doing better to be that competition, so that's not a problem. Facebook, unfortunately, in my opinion, is holding VR up, and 2020 would not have been a good VR year without Facebook and Oculus. I'll admit that. I'm first one to say that. There's nothing wrong with Facebook. What do you fucking work for Zuck? Wait, are you Zuck? You can only achieve complete immersion in a large, empty, locked, climate-controlled room in a VR system that's totally comfortable to you. I get where you're coming from. Immersion, it's not just about the VR world, what's going on in your room, the space you have to work with, how hot it is. I know I got a fan back there that I can't play during videos because you'll hear it, but I'm sweating bullets. That all affects a VR experience. However, what I disagree with here is that it's really dependent on the game. There are games out there that it doesn't matter if this room is unbearably hot in the summer. I don't think the AC works at all in here. I think it just hates me. But if a game is really good, I'll get into it and have a blast. There have been moments in VR chat, the most bullshit levels in the world, where I'm just climbing on giant stone goddesses in the sky, trying to reach the tippy top of their finger. And I forgot for a while that I was in my room. In fact, sometimes when climbing upwards and say Jet Island, trying to get to something super high when maybe I glitched through the map, because that happens way too often, I got vertigo or got dizzy and had to just plant and take my headset for a second to remember that, hey, I'm not 30 miles up in the sky. It comes down to the game, and to say that you need the perfect room for that, I gotta disagree on that. Solaris won't get a comeback. You're not wrong. I'm sorry, Solaris, but between Onward, Pavlov, Population 1, and every other multiplayer game coming out, everything's covered pretty well, and Hyperdash did it better than you. There should be more physical releases for VR games so we can remember this time period of the technology in the future to show how much we've grown in such a short time frame. Brother, I agree. I agree fully. In fact, oh, where is it? Hold on. Oh, I think it's in that trunk behind me. There's no way I'm gonna get it. But the Walking Dead Onslaught developers did send me a care package when that came out. I was rocking their awesome t-shirt in one of the videos. Seriously, it's super soft. But they gave basically what looked like a game box from Xbox. It was tin, but it was blatantly meant for a CD or a game DVD or something. It's meant for a game. It's basically an Xbox case. But of course, when I open it, there's nothing in there because VR doesn't do physical copies of anything. But do you know how much I wanted there to be something in there? It would be amazing to have a physical disc for my VR game. I'm not against digital goods. If everything goes digital, I'm not gonna bat an eye. It's cool. But to have something physical for a game that I love, I would pay more. If, for example, I'm really digging Population 1. If Population had something physical to buy, I might buy it because I want to support them, and it'd be cool to have in my room because the game matters to me, and so does their products and anything tangible I can get. So yeah, you're right on there. In fact, having physical releases for some things may add to this niche culture of taking ownership and loving VR, because VR is a very personal experience, and I would love to have something tangible rather than just a Steam account. Beat Saber is overrated, Rec Room is underrated, and it's absolutely criminal that there hasn't been a pure sequel to Superhot VR. Ooh, there's a lot there. Beat Saber, overrated. Probably not. It's literally the only game that I could show to anyone who comes over to my place to try VR. It's the only game that I can possibly show them that I don't have to give them tips, I don't have to give them tricks, I don't have to guide them through the experience. I literally slap that damn headset on their head, play some K-pop song, and they're smiling from ear to ear. It's the perfect game, and yes, is it everywhere, and do people have to keep buying it over and over because it's not cross-buy, and every time something happens you buy more stuff on it? Sure, it's got its problems, but overrated, not one of them. Rec Room, underrated. Also disagree. I don't think Rec Room's that great, guys. I've never been a big fan of it. It's not bad. Sorry, I know that was harsh. Woo. That was harsh. But it's not bad. It's okay. I take that back. It's not bad, but it's not underrated at all. I think it's perfectly rated for what it is. The people who love it, love it. The people who don't. But to say it's underrated, absolutely not. And of course, Superhot VR. Yeah, the fact that company, when they officially came out and said that they're not actively working on a sequel in VR to Superhot, yeah, that's f***ed up and big miss. Microtransactions and subscription-based monetization models are great for VR. Paying for a game more than once helps developers greatly, and even with the expanding market, some extra revenue is always helpful for developers for this relatively small market. What's that meme with the guy from the Saw movie just like blinking? Because that's what a lot of people are doing right now to you, bringing on microtransactions. But I don't entirely disagree. I don't have the biggest problem with microtransactions, and not in the sense if they're pay to win, get them the hell out of my life. I no way. But cosmetics and things like that, why not? I talk to a lot of developers, and I know some, now that the Oculus Quest is doing so well, are doing great. But I know some, I don't know, I'll name O-Shape, spoke with them. Amazing developers, amazing game, but before that Oculus Quest, I believe, came out, from our discussions, they had still not turned a profit. And to this day, I'm assuming they've made a profit now, but I still don't know. It is very hard to make money in VR, and if you like a game like Population 1, who microtransactions are likely coming out from the rumors any day now. I am actually really excited. I can't wait to give them a little bit of extra cash, hopefully so they can fix some of the server issues that I've had in that game, but I have no problem shelling out a little cash for a fun skin, for a game that I love, for a game that I'm probably going to be playing for a very long time. It's soaking up my life, and my kid's going to be without a father because that game is amazing. But microtransactions are probably good for VR. It's a great way for developers to know they can get some other type of monetization from it, as long as the monetization isn't built around the game. For example, if you build a game and you slow down the level progressions, that way people buy skins, that's a problem. Don't build your game around a monetization model of microtransactions, but if they're just an added benefit in the game where you can just willingly spend your cash on whatever you want, hell yeah. VR is insanely convenient and super easy to use, so much so that I believe it'll eventually replace conventional gaming. Sure about that, Chief? Man, VR related channels saying VR will never replace traditional gaming. That's what's gonna happen right now. There's no way traditional gaming in my mind is ever going to be replaced by VR. VR is not, to me, insanely convenient. In fact, it's actually pretty cumbersome. And sure, the Oculus Quest is probably the easiest headset to deal with, and that is, of course, the most popular one. But when it comes to PC VR currently, it's anything but convenient. I have to constantly unplug and replug things before I play to make sure I have a perfect experience. There are a lot of components that break, a lot of components that just don't work. It's not convenient to me. It's fun, but there are absolutely days that I just go, hey, I'm just gonna watch another episode of anime, even though I could go play some games. I just don't feel like dealing with VR at this moment. So is it ever gonna replace traditional gaming? No, and I don't think it needs to. It's just another fun way to experience what you love. So if you love Dragon Ball Z, and eventually, hopefully there's a Dragon Ball Z VR game, if you want to experience in VR, great, you're experiencing what you love in a different way. If you want to experience it in an Xbox 360 or whatever, experience it there. It's just VR and traditional gaming are just two ways to experience what you love in different ways. That's all it is. Quest 2 is rubbish for the horror genre, as its non-black blacks ruin immersion. I feel you, man. I really feel you, Deep Flake, on this one. I really do. Being an Index main player, absolutely, when I play a horror game, it's hard to see sometimes, and it does take away. The black levels for horror are really important, and there's actually been times where I've maybe missed a jump scare because it was so gray and the god rays were hitting a little hard that I kind of missed something in the corner. I saw it later on in a playthrough on someone else's, so I agree with that. Willie, this year was a disaster for VR. 2020 was great for VR. I have a feeling I'm about to repeat myself on something we went earlier. I think this is coming from a place of the Facebook requirement for the Oculus Quest 2. I have a feeling that really this has all been based on Facebook's involvement with VR. And I bring back what I said before. Where would VR be this year without Oculus and Facebook? I don't think it'd be that great. The only game we'd have is Half-Life Alyx. Everything else would do okay, would do middling. Developers won't be making money because they're making all their money on the Quest right now. If anything, 2020 was great. I mean, I've never seen more VR users, more VR interest, people telling me they just got VR for the first time and love it. It is hands down the best VR year so far, and I think this is just coming from a place of fuck Facebook, and I feel you, Willie, but no. Moss is extremely boring. Okay. To me, yes, but that's just because I'm not a big fan of the third-person experience in VR, and I think that's probably where this one came from as well. But in fact, there's a reason we get big screen TVs. The game sometimes, when I was a kid, or younger, I'm still a kid, I'm still young, I had a big TV because it felt more immersive. I wanted to get right up to the TV and play Gears of War and have fun. And Moss is kind of the same thing. It's just a platformer, more or less, a third-person platformer, yet you're fully immersed the most you can, almost like you were just in front of a giant screen. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think Astrobot and Moss, these games did a lot of good. They're a lot of fun. They have great ratings. It's just not for everyone. And I think the people who say games like Moss and Astrobot are awful, Tetris Effect awful, they just think VR should be first person. Let's just be honest. They think it should be first person at all times, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I think Contractors is better than Pavlov, and I think you're absolutely wrong. Don't get me started. Not enough people talk about makeup, big hair, or needing a shower as barriers and deterrents to starting a VR session. Just some seemingly little things that keep us from wanting to stick something on our face that's not relevant in other media. Listen, bros, I know there's a lot of bros right now who are like,
yo, we don't wear makeup doesn't matter to us.
No, it does matter. I think there are times where I don't want to mat down my hair to give myself a reverse mohawk before going out downtown. There are times where I do not want to leave the house with just VR face and everything wrapped up in all red and flush. And there are times when you're hanging out with friends that at the same time you don't want to be sweating while playing games in front of everyone. Sweating is a big thing, and these are real barriers to entry. And I think until VR is just less cumbersome and they find a form factor that works a little better, maybe glasses, I don't know. I think it's gonna be an insane long time before that happens, but that's a real barrier. And I think this is not brought up enough. This is a super fair point, and we really need to talk about this more. Pavlov is not very good. I'm sorry. You're wrong. Both of you who are anti-Pavlov people are absolutely wrong. Pavlov, it's not TTT. No one should play TTT. It's an awful game, and I stand by that. But Search and Destroy, Team Deathmatch, gun game, Pavlov does what Pavlov does perfectly. It is CSGO in VR. It is run and gun, and your bullet sponges, your just damage output indicators. It's amazing. It's my number one first-person shooter. Population-wise, my first number one multiplayer game. But Pavlov is good. If I see any more of these, we got problems. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is greater than Half-Life Alyx. Ooh, you trying to start arguments, aren't you, man? That's a toss-up. No, not really. Alyx is better. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, it's a fun game. It's a good game. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great game. Good's not even the right word. But Half-Life Alyx, man, the color palette of the game, the crisp details of it, just the world, it's an amazing game that I put down for a while after I binged it and beat it all. And I just went back to that BioShock mod that they had for it recently. I think I talked about that in the video. And I forgot just how beautiful that game was and how flawless it felt and how everything works. So, yeah, I'm going to disagree with this one. Alyx is better than The Walking Dead. Steam VR is bloated and clunky compared to Oculus. Yo, Robo. Not a hot take. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you. Going on Steam VR and looking at the upcoming section, you know, if I want to just go see some naked lolly girls, I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to find in half those. They're shovelware, it's bloatware, it's awful. Steam VR is just littered with useless VR garbage, and the amount of emails I get for some of these useless garbage VR games, I have no problem saying they're useless garbage VR games that are low effort money grabs, and Steam VR is absolutely bloated. Where the Oculus Store, specifically the Oculus Quest Store, of course, is heavily walled off, which avoids that. So yes, there are some games that probably deserve to be on the store right now, like Pavlov, although that's not exactly Oculus's fault probably, but there are games that deserve to be on that store. To the Top is a great example. To the Top deserved to be on that store, but because of how walled off it was, they never got on it. However, at the same time, that means that when you log on to the Oculus Store, you know its general quality. Doesn't mean you're gonna like every game, doesn't mean every game is good, but there is an average quality that you can come to expect as a bare minimum when you buy a game on the Oculus Store, and that is worth a lot of time and a lot of money, and that's why Oculus is doing so well, I think, one big reason. But Steam VR being bloated, I agree, not a hot take though. No one needs more than 2 headsets. Selling your Index for Quest 2 wireless is worth it. I don't need 2 headsets. I don't need as many headsets as I have, but I want them, and don't tell me what to do with my money. Teleportation in Dash is by far the most immersive and fun way to cover large distances in VR. No, it's not. It's not at all. You know, smooth locomotion and free movement is the best version for immersion. Yes, it might take you a while to get to point A to point B, but it would take you a long time to get there in real life as well. Dashing to me always feels awful. I never think it should be standard on a game. If teleporting is the only option on a game, count me out. I'm never touching your game. I know that's elitist, but I like smooth locomotion, and I find that any teleport dash functions just take away from the experience. I mean, you miss all the details when you teleport from point A to point B, depending on the size of the teleport. You miss all the details that could possibly be in that span, and just finishing that teleport and then having to look around is a little jarring. No. Standalone is great, but the novelty will wear off and people will want AAA experiences again. Look, I see AAA being thrown around a lot, and I think what a AAA game is so convoluted to what it was. Like, I think everyone's definition of a AAA game is different. Some people don't even consider Half-Life Alyx a AAA game, so there is no consensus on what a AAA game is, and to say that these games are novelty that aren't AAA, I disagree. If a game is creative and just packs a fun experience and challenges you in the right way, or mix and match of anything, it can be an amazing game and does not need to be AAA quality. Granted, there's not that many AAA games in VR that people would consider high-end, like Asgard's Wrath or Half-Life Alyx or Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Those are really the big name games. I think a lot of the other games, while those big name games have provided some amazing moments and the consistency of them and the overall production, they're all amazing, but my best experiences in VR, the ones that were the most immersive, the ones that made me almost fall down, the ones that made me have to like just really get into it, like Jet Island, for example, is anything but AAA. It's the bottom of indie almost with how they present their graphics in Jet Island, but the experience trumps the quality of it. And that's why I don't think we need more AAA experiences. I think that definition is so wide it doesn't matter. Drunk gaming in VR is something to avoid. Same if you are a bit sick. Drunk gaming is the best way to game. So that's going to be it for the first episode of Trash Takes on your unpopular opinions and hot takes for VR. There are tons that I didn't get to, and I will most likely do many more types of videos like this where I ask for your input and then give my opinions on your opinions, because it's fun, it's easy, and I'm an opinionated gamer. You all know that if you watch my channel. But I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what your takes on some of these were if I missed. There's just so much to talk about with VR. We all have so many different opinions, but at the end of the day, it's just fun to be in a different world and just get away. It's just fun, and that's what VR to me will always be, fun. That's it. But that's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon, that way you never miss an upload. And as always, see you next time, Space Cowboys.